So the first thing you're gonna do when it is time to finish your project, when you decided you've woven enough, and this bag is as big as you want it to be right now, your first thing you need to do is make sure you've tight packed your yarn. So turn it over and push down as hard as you can, kind of throughout the whole thing. Make sure that this is tight packed. Yes, you're gonna have little strings here, that's fine, but this needs to be tight packed down. And if you're still happy with the size, like sometimes people pack it down and then it's only this big, that's probably too small to do anything with. This size is on the small side, but it is a-okay. So if you like that, that's fine. Okay, once you've tight packed it down, you are going to start cutting your threads and tying them. Do not cut all of them at once. Your life will be much harder. Don't do that to yourself, okay? Okay, I promise you do not want to cut all of them at once. Pick two, okay, and then you'll cut them about, near the top of the board. Get as close to the top of the board as you can so you've got plenty of space to tie. Then you're going to crisscross your threads and crisscross tie. This is like your starting shoe and you double knot that. When you start to tie your shoe, it's that crisscross knot, a box knot that's called, and you just do that twice. Before you cut the next threads, you have to flip your board over, pull the yarns from the back, and do it again. Now, in this case, my second string is taped, so I actually just have to pull that one through, okay? And then I crisscross around through tie here. Okay, so my first two strings I tie together. And since there's another loose string here, because I would only cut a pair, I know that this one needs a partner, and I'm going to just crisscross tie it to one that I've already tied, and that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to tie each pair of strings. So now I'm going to cut my next two strings and I'm going to tie those two together. And I'm going to do this for all of the yarns through my project. Okay, so I'm going to do it here. I'm going to flip my board, get the next two that are cut because I already cut them. Okay, and I'm going to crisscross tie these. And I'm going to keep going for all of the yarns. When I'm done with tying all of those strings, before I trim anything, before I cut anything short, I need to go in with some glue. I am going to put a dot of glue on all of the knots throughout my whole project, okay? And I want to make sure there is enough glue that it's going to be like worked into that knot. So you really want to like saturate it and then sort of rub it in there so that it's really going to stay. And I would do that for the knots at the top, the ones that I just did, and the ones throughout the project for every time I changed colors. So I'm just going to put little dots of glue throughout my project and make sure that those are very well saturated and they're not going to unravel on me. Once these have been glued really well, then I can trim. You can trim it short, but don't cut the knot off. I've seen some fourth graders be a little over enthusiastic with their cutting and they end up cutting the knot off. Well, guess what happens once we pull your project off? Your whole project unravels because you haven't been patient enough. So I'm going to finish doing this. finally finished all of my gluing and I'm ready to actually take this off. What do I do to do that? I have to make sure that my final string, this one, has been tied to something. If it's not tied to something, it's going to unravel. So I'm going to pick one of the black strings at the top to tie my final yarn to. And just like those other ones, it's a basic shoelace knot. You take the strings, you cross it around each other, and then one of the strings goes through the middle. Then you pull it tight. And you do that twice to make a nice strong knot. And again, you have to put glue on all your knots. Then that string can get cut short. I am ready to take this off my board now. Watch how this works, okay? I've done all my gluing. I'm ready to shuffle this off. I'm going to start pulling and pulling it towards the bottom of the board. I'm kind of shimmying back and forth like this. I might need to turn it over and shimmy back and forth some more. Eventually, it'll pop off the board. There's my beautiful and lovely bag. I do need to tie my starting string to something, but that'll happen in just a second. I am now going to take my bag and I'm actually going to flip it inside out. Okay? And then there is my much more lovely, right? Smooth, there's no like weird knots anywhere, bag, and it's on the inside. It looks really great. Okay, so that is the process of taking this off. If you have like a weird bonus string somewhere, make sure that one gets tied to something, usually on the inside. So if you're like, oh no, there's this weird extra string like I've got, turn it back inside out and pull that string on the inside and tie that to something. Okay. I might go, I'm going to just tie it to one of these black strings here. And that's just fine. I also want to tie this string to something. Okay. Even just tying your first string to itself on a previous loop, that's fine. You just need to have some kind of tie there. And leave that one just a little bit longer, just so it doesn't unravel, okay? All right, now flipping this back right side out, because this is now the right side. There's my beautiful, cute little bag, just perfect for some AirPods or whatever you want to put in there. Okay, you can leave these long or you can trim these short. This is your choice. I tend to like to leave them long. You could even like braid them or create little handles out of them if you want to, but it is not required.